Today I'm doing something that it seems like I do every day, making guitar necks. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. So, as I said in the intro, I seem to do this all the time. My daily routine is to build guitar necks. There are definitely worse things than that. But I thought that I would take you guys along on a journey and help you pick out the best lumber for a Fender style guitar neck. I realize it's not exciting, but it's exciting to me, and that says more about me than it does anything else. But anyway, I've got four of these guys here that they are all quarter sawn maple guitar necks. Let's grab one of them here so I can prove to you that they are in fact quarter sawn maple. So when I went and got this stuff at the lumberyard, I went to Austin Hardwoods and I bought this, and I'm like, gosh, this is beautiful, beautiful lumber. It's like perfectly straight and beautiful, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I should make a video about like what it looks like, because it doesn't start out beautiful, okay? And we're gonna get to that. But I also bought some of this sapele that is also, I got two of them here. These are also both quarter sawn lumber, and they look really nice. This is for a project that I don't know what it's for yet, or maybe I'm just not going to tell you yet. But maybe a double neck. But I got all this. All this stuff is for the Winter Series 2025 Winter Series Texas Toast Super Casanova, and at the time of this filming, excuse me, there are only two left. So people have already bought four of them, and God, they're absolutely gorgeous. But if you want to get one, there's two spots left, and they feature quarter sawn maple with the black kingwood, which is roasted Purple Heart fretboards, and they're absolutely beautiful. But I'm looking at this. This quarter sawn maple. I'm like, God, that's just magnificent. Look how straight the grain is on that. This is absolutely wonderful. And I went to my local wood sellers, which in Denver, Colorado is Austin Hardwoods, as one of them. And I bought the 4/4 sapele, and it's quarter sawn select. And it was $9. Oh, I bought 1 1/4 board feet, and it was $9. The total was $11.50. I bought almost 6 1/2 board feet of the quarter sawn hard maple, and it was $70 for 6 1/2 board feet. Now, I say that this is quarter sawn and not vertically oriented for a reason, because as you guys should know by now, there's a big difference between the way that the logs are milled in order to get true quarter sawn lumber. Now, if you buy flat sawn lumber and you just so happen to luck out and the grain looks like this, cool. It's vertical, but it's not necessarily quarter sawn. So the only real way to know for sure, well, I guess you could go to the mill where they're milling it and you could see them cut the logs into 4 and then mill it out. But the only real way to know for sure that you're getting quarter sawn lumber is if you pay for quarter sawn lumber. Okay, so I'm going to show you my receipt here, and you can pause the video. So you can see here it actually says 4/4. That's not quarter sawn, but it also says rift/quarter. So I'm paying for quarter sawn lumber here. I didn't just luck out and get vertically oriented 4/4 lumber. Okay. You guys should know all this stuff already. It's not necessarily the same, even if the end result is the same or similar, okay? But what I didn't show you, I'm showing you like how beautiful these necks are. What I didn't show you is what some of the unusable parts of the lumber look like. So remember, I got 6 1/2 board feet. Well, unfortunately, lumber, maple, quarter sawn maple ain't exactly the most homogeneous stuff in the world. So here is one of the, like, so that was in. Obviously you can't use that. Big knot right there. Not going to want to use that. Plus look at the funkiness of the grain. It might be pretty, but it's not stable for necks. Here's a bunch of nonsense. The grain's going cross and swooping out. If this were on your neck, I would call that run out. Okay, you don't want run out. You want the grain to go straight as it possibly can. You don't want it to fall off. Here's another. This is a perfect example. There's no knots, but there's all this kind of kookiness going on here. Again, it's very pretty, but you don't want that on your neck. Okay, I don't want that on my neck. And if I build you a guitar neck, I'm not going to use this. Okay, this is actually just going in the scrap pile, and that's just going to be the way it goes. So let me show you what these guys looked like before I rough did the outside. I'm going to show you a couple of the boards that I got from Austin, and they're right over here. We'll move the camera and I'll show you some of the stuff that you might want to look for, and maybe some of the things that you can, some mistakes to not make. How about that? All right, let's move the camera and we'll get to looking at it. Okay, gang, here is a chunk of our quarter sawn maple that we got from Austin Hardwoods. And there's a few things that I want you guys to be aware of before we get too far. First of all, the lumber has to be big enough to do the neck that you want to do. Let me pull this Strat template that has the paper still on it. So it has to be physically large enough for the neck to actually fit on the board, right? So if it is absolutely wonderful, but not long enough, say, well, that won't do us any good. So that should go without saying, right? In this case, our neck template, in this case for a Strat style neck, needs to be a minimum of 26 inches long. So that's an easy one to figure. Let's give ourselves maybe an inch or two extra, and that will be more than enough to get this neck. As you can see, this board is certainly long enough to do, at the very least, this neck. The other dimension that I want you to pay close attention to, and this is a trickier one than how long the neck is how thick the neck is. Now, on a Fender style neck, typically you want the maple part, the neck part, the part that holds the strings and gets contoured on the back, to be 3/4 of an inch, 0.750, okay? You could probably fudge that a little bit, maybe a little bit thicker than that, a little bit thinner than that, maybe a little thinner than that. But let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that Uncle Matt says you want to do exactly 0.750. You need to make sure that your boards are at least that thick to begin with. And then, in this case, this board is right at 7/8 of an inch. So I've got 1/8 of an inch to play with. That's important because when you buy this lumber, you can see right here, there's a patch that has not been, needs to be surfaced again, okay? So when you run this through the joiner to get a flat side, you've got to have some meat to work with. If you go buy lumber that's already exactly 3/4 of an inch, it has to be dead flat because you can't take any more off. You know what I mean? Pardon me. I'm all logy today. So you can't take more off and have a neck that yields the good stuff that you want, okay? So yeah, have lumber that's at least long enough to do your neck and at least thick enough to end up with, after you machine it, not the people at the lumberyard, after you machine it and it's dead flat, it's 3/4 of an inch, 0.750. I don't know what that is in metric, don't even ask. Okay. So once we get that, then we're going to be like, well, gosh, this piece of wood looks pretty good, right? I could get a neck here, and you know, maybe I could get one here, and or I could do like something like this. I could get 2 necks from this board pretty easily, right? Without even really trying, I could get 2 necks out of this one. Well, yeah, you could, but maybe you shouldn't, okay? Remember when I was talking about run out? This board here has nice, tight, straight grain up until about here. And then it starts to kind of wind around this knot. This guy right here is the offender. Let me move the camera because I think this is intriguing. It's interesting to me. All right, so this lumber is nice and straight, okay, until you get to right about here. And you can see how the grain follows this knot, and it follows it for several inches up the board. You can actually see it right there. It's plain as day, okay? So I would try to avoid this area right here. Now, I'm looking at this board, and I think it's easily big enough to get 2 guitar necks out of. But this guy right here might mean that I can only get 1. So I know what you're thinking. It'd be a real bummer to not get more than 1 neck out of this board. And I'm not suggesting that we can't. We just might not be able to. What I'm trying to explain is fight the temptation to say the board's big enough to get 1 neck out of, or to get 2 necks out of physically. What you might end up with is 2 inferior necks. So I would, if it was me, I would rather get 1 good neck out of this than 2 lousy necks out of this, okay? And I'm not suggesting that it's gonna be a lousy neck, but man, that bums me out. That's a bummer, and that's kind of what happens when you buy lumber like this at the lumberyard. You get a lot of stuff like this. You get a lot of cuckoo grain. If you buy lumber from a guitar wood source like Stuart McDonald or Tonewood Experts, generally speaking, the necks are very clear. There's no kooky knots, stuff like that. But if you try to save a little bit of money and buy material that is, you know, like this here, well, you're in pretty good shape financially, but you're going to have to do some of the work, and there might be some heartbreak when you go, I can't use that one part. So this is actually from a different board than the one I just showed you, but I bought it at the same time. I think I'll be able to get 2 necks out of this because there's no funky grain except right on the end right here. However, this board is long enough that I think I can get 2 necks if I do it right. Now, remember, let's go back to my receipt. I spent $70 on this lumber. Now, I think I'm going to be able to get, if I get 1 neck out of that, then the neck blank would have cost me $70. Not a great deal, especially since there were 2 boards. If I get 2 necks out of it, even though the boards were almost 8 feet long, that'd only be $35 for a neck blank. That's not great, but if I get 4 out of it, then I'm in that like $17. If I get 5 out of it, I don't know what that math is, but I was under the impression there wasn't going to be no math. But if I can get 5 necks out of that, I'm doing really, really good, even if I have to throw all this junk away. Now, I know I showed you guys 4 necks that I was working on. I actually had some quarter sawn maple. It came from Austin too, though, so, but it's kind of convoluted how the wood that I showed you earlier did not actually, 2 of the necks came from that. So I got 2 necks out of it already. If I get nothing else, those are $35 neck blanks. Not bad. I think I can get at least 2 more necks out of these 2 chunks that I showed you. So now my cost for the maple part of my Fender style necks is probably down in that $17 neighborhood. not too bad. And if I can get 5, if I can sneak 5 out of it that I like the way the grain looks, then that'll be golden. So I would fight the temptation to do stuff like angle the necks to get, obviously you wouldn't do this, but if you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss that, oh, there's a knot right there, I know, I'll angle my neck like this to get out of the way. Sometimes just cutting that knot out and putting it in the scrap heap is the way to go. It's painful, but sometimes it's better than having a dodgy neck when it's all said and done. I would much rather put in the work, get the maximum number of high quality neck blanks that I can, and deal with some scrap like this, then make a bunch of lousy necks. Okay. So anyway, gang, I hope that this video was in some way useful for you. The reason that I bring it up is because I see a lot of people doing that, where they kind of try to cheat, and I'm not saying that you won't get away with it, but you probably won't get away with it every time. If you would like to come and learn how to make necks with me, my December 2025 workshop is not full. You can, the very first 3 days of my neck workshop, we will be building a practice neck from poplar, and we will be building a real big boy fender neck out of hard rock maple. The practice neck is neat because you get to do everything. You get to cut fret slots, and you get to radius it, and you get to press frets into it, and you get to make all the mistakes that you would so that you get to make all the mistakes on the neck that will never be a neck, rather than make any mistakes on the neck that will eventually become a guitar. Okay. So I'll teach you all about wood, and I'll teach you all about the template system that I use. I'll teach you all about the tools that I use. I'll teach you how to shape necks, and that's the very first 3 days. If you only want to take the first 3 days, cool, you can do that. If you want to stick around for the next 3 days, you can learn to do the mahogany style necks. Here's one of those right here. You can shape your own mahogany style neck and basically design a set neck guitar, and then you have a neck to plop in it. That workshop is coming later on. So, in the second phase of the neck workshop, we pull all the frets out of your poplar neck and help you get the frets out, press new frets in, etc. So you get a little bit of work with refretting if you have any refret jobs that you want to start working on. The poplar neck, or what I've been calling the practice neck, man, it's so nice to be able to just do all the practicing on that, do all the get any mistakes that you're going to make done on that one that was never, ever, ever going to be a neck anyway. Okay, so it's a good thing, and there's spots available as of the time of this video for my December neck workshop. I don't want this to sound like a commercial, but there's a lot of good products that I have that you guys might not know about. So neck building workshop, link in the description below. Also, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want, where'd they go? If you want one of these necks and you want it attached to the Winter 2025 limited edition Texas Toast Super Casanova, which is our version of the Jazzmaster. They're awesome. They're white limbo bodies, and they've got a sunburst, and they're just the coolest things. There's 2 more of these left if you want to get in on that action. We're limiting it to 6 plus the one that Rod bought when he was here and saw it with his own 2 eyes. He's like, don't sell that to anybody, I want that, and he took it with him to Alaska. So anyway, gang, I hope that you liked this video. If you got something out of it, buy a t-shirt. If you like the content that we put out and you want to help support the channel, the best way to do it is to go to our Patreon page and become a member. And if you can't do that, just like the video, share the video, etc., etc. And yeah, until next time, have a great one. This is your old buddy Uncle Matt, reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. We'll see you in a week or so. Have a great one, everybody. Take care.